Udah pernah sound check. May we request everyone to settle down on your seats as the program will be starting very shortly. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Welcome to the turnover of Department of Education, Cotabato City Division, and schools within the 63 barangays of North Cotabato to the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education.
Before we formally start this event, may we request everyone to please rise for the Quran reading to be recited to us by the Chief Education Program Supervisor, Alim Abdul Ghafoor I. Abdul Hamid.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I would like to request everybody to make full intention during our dua. We are asking the acceptance of our dua in the mercy of Almighty Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum birahmatika nastaghis. Allahumma inna nas'aluka bi asma'ikal husna wa sifatikal uliya an taqbala li du'ai kama taqabbalta ala du'ail anbiya'i wal mursalin was salihin ya rabbal alamin. Allahumma aslih lana dinana alladhi huwa ismatu amrina wa aslih lana dunyana allati fiha ma'ashuna وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي فيها بعادنا واجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير واجعل الموت راحة لنا من كل شر يا رب العالمين. O Allah, make our religion easy for us, by virtue of which our affairs are protected. Set right for us our world where our life exists. Make good for us our hereafter, which is our resort to which we have to return. And make our life prone to perform all types of good and make death a comfort for us from every evil. O Allah, help us spend all our life in complete devotion to you, doing what you like and avoiding what you dislike. Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-huda wat-tuqa wal-afafa wal-ghina. O Allah, we seek you pour guidance, pity, chastity, and contentment. Allahumma ighfir lana ma qaddamna wa ma akharna wa ma asrarna wa ma a'lanna wa ma anta a'lamu bihi minna. Antal muqaddim wa antal muakhir wa anta ala kulli shay'in qadir. O Allah, grant us pardon for those sins which we committed in the past and we may commit in the future, and we committed in privacy or in public, and all those sins of which you are better aware than us. You alone can sin whomever will to Jannah, paradise, and you alone can sin whomever to hellfire, and you are omnipotent. Allahumma inna na'udhuka min ilmin la yanfa, wa min qalbin la yakhsha, wa min nafsin la tasba', wa min da'watin la yustajabu lahu. O Allah, we seek refuge in you from the knowledge which is not beneficial, and from a heart which does not fear you, and from desire which is not satisfied, and from prayer which is not answered. Allahumma inna na'udhu bika min al-barasi wal-jununi wal-judhami wa say'il asqam. O Allah, we seek refuge in you from leukodema, insanity, leprosy, and evil diseases, particularly COVID-19, virus corona. Allahumma akfina bihalalika an haramik, wagnina bifadlika amman siwaka ya rabbal alamin. Allahumma akfina bihalalika an haramik, wagnina bifadlika amman siwaka ya rabbal alamin. Allahumma akfina bihalalika an haramik, واغننا بفضلك عمن سواك يا رب العالمين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. Our Lord, let not our heart deviate from truth after you guided us, and grant us mercy from you. Truly, you are the bestower. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. Our Lord, bestow on us from our wives and our offspring the comfort of our eyes, and make us leader of the muttaqun, the fierce people. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Our Lord, give us good in this world and good in hereafter, and save us from torment of fire. Amin ya Rabbal Alamin. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the singing of the national anthem and the BARMM hymn.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang mag-ibig, kaya sa sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Upang inilang, kuya ka ng mag-ibig, sa mandudubig, di ka masisingil, sa nagalang sa simoy at sa langit ng pagkaw, ay hinatang tulakaw sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y nabuhay ka nagtitindig, ang ituloy na parang niya kailan, ang ay di matitindig. Lumalang araw ng walang pagsikap, mo'y nangit sa piling mo. Ang hikaya naman ay mag-amin, ang namatay ng dahil sa'yo. sa puso't isipan. Ang kahapon ngunit ay nanabulis ng buhay, nasa pinagdaanan ay kapal. Bangsamoro ay nabuhay, mula na mag-isuot buhay. Katabungan ay ating ang nakamtan.
Thank you. You may now be seated.
For our dear guests and all our attendees for this event, the Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education expresses our deepest gratitude for joining us today. My name is Moby,
And I am Fida.
and we will be your hosts for today's program.
Today's turnover ceremony is historically significant for the education sector in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. With the recent and formal turnover of Cotabato City and the 63 barangays in North Cotabato, it is also within due process that we welcome the schools in the divisions of Cotabato City and the 63 barangays.
To formally welcome us all in this ceremony, let us give a round of applause to the Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education Deputy Minister Haron S. Milling for his welcome address.
A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi wa bihi nasta'in. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajmain. Ama ba'du, isang pagpupugay sa ating kagalang-galang na kalihim, Leonor Magtolis Briones, Ma'am Liling, ng Department of Education, who will be joining us in a short while via Zoom. Sa iba pang mga opisyal ng Department of Education na dumating dito sa Cotabato City upang saksihan ang makasaysayang araw na ito, ang opisyal na turnover ng Cotabato City Schools Division kasama na ang mga paaralan sa 63 barangay ng North Cotabato. I'd also like to pay my respect to the Honorable Chief Minister Ahod Balawag Ibrahim of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, the Honorable Minister Muhagir Iqbal of the Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education, other government officials, members of Parliament in attendance, Dato Tokaw M. Mastura, Dr. Susana Anayatin, Narciso Iyo Eke, Milanio Ulama, Director Gonzales ng Civil Service Commission, Director Alan Farnaso ng DEPED Region 12, our dear Schools Division Superintendent Concepcion Balawag, honored guests and visitors, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you all to this historic and memorable turnover of the City Schools Division of Cotabato City, and the schools in the 63 barangays of North Cotabato to the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, BARMM. This day is historic because since the beginning of the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao in 1989, Cotabato City hosted the ARM as the regional center of governance are here, but was not a component political unit of the autonomous region. The city remained for a long time in an awkward situation of being a component LGU of Region 12. Awkward because the larger part of Region 12 are South Cotabato, North Cotabato, Sultan Kudarat, Sarangani, and the cities of Coronadal, Idapawan, Tacurong, and General Santos. More than 100 kilometers northwest lies Cotabato City and still part of that region. Historic because the legendary Sultan Kudarat and the succession of sultans and datos used Cotabato City, the Tantawan Hills, as their command post in thwarting the invaders, the colonizers of yesteryears. Historic because the biggest province of the Philippines then, the then Empire Province of Cotabato, from its creation before the Second World War, Cotabato was the seat of power and governance. The old Capitol building atop the Tantawan Hill overlooking the city is a testimony to this fact. The 5 provinces of South Cotabato, North Cotabato, Maguindanao, Sultan Kudarat, and Sarangani all emanated from this mother province. In the last 3 decades, 2 plebiscites were conducted to determine the pulse of the city, whether or not to join the autonomous region. And on 2 occasions, the city spoke through the ballot not to be part of the autonomous region. And so their voice was heard and their will respected. But on January 21, 2019, the sovereign people of Cotabato City have spoken again. And this time, their voice was loud and clear. They freely chose to be part of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, complying with the fundamental law provisions on autonomous regions and the negotiated political settlement of the GPH-MILF peace talks evolving into Republic Act number 11054 or the Bangsamoro Organic Law as the legal framework of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. By their voices also, the people of Cotabato City returned to the old historical arrangement where the city is the center of trade and commerce, of education and culture, and more importantly, of governance. On this historic day, I humbly say to the schools of Cotabato City and the 63 barangays of Cotabato Province, welcome to the BARMM, welcome to moral governance. In due time, you will surely partake of all the benefits of meaningful autonomy granted by law under the Bangsamoro Organic Law. Wabillahi taufiq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for that heartwarming message, Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education, Haron S. Milling.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come a long way for this momentous event to finally happen. Various coordination activities and preparations have been done, and now it is time to bear the fruits of our labor. So at this juncture, allow me to call on the Assistant Secretary for Academics of the Ministry of Basic Higher and Technical Education to give us his opening statement. Please help me welcome Assistant Secretary for Academics, Marjuni S. Madi.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Highest respect and utmost courtesies to the different personalities around in this center, from the people upstage down to those that are in the bleacher. Magandang hapon po sa atin lahat. We have gathered here today, both physically and virtually, to witness this momentous event in the history of education in the Bangsamoro region. The turnover of the division of Cotabato City and the schools within the 63 barangays of North Cotabato to the Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. This historic turnover ceremony that is brought about by the ratification of Republic Act 11054 or the Bangsamoro Organic Law exactly 23 months and 3 days ago today is a product of a year-long discussion, virtual meetings, face-to-face conferences, workshops, site validations, and transition planning. At last, after almost a year, the efforts of the MBHTE-BARMM through its task force turnover, together with its counterparts from the Department of Education, the Department of Education Regional Office 12, the DEPED Cotabato Division, and DEPED Cotabato City Division, we are beginning to see better and clearer signals and express our gratitude to our counterparts from the regions and up to the national DepEd. I would like to specifically mention the names of Yusek Jess Mateo, Yusek Rebsi Escobedo, and all other undersecretaries and assistant secretaries who started this discussion more than a year ago with the instruction of our dear Secretary, Honorable Leonor Magtolis Briones. And I have also, I have to also mention and express our gratitude to our counterparts from the region. Regional Director Alan Farnaso, thank you very much. Our counterpart from North Cotabato, Sergani, thank you very much. And your team from North Cotabato, they're here with you. And our counterpart also from the Cotabato City Division, Ma'am Connie, and your team. Thank you very much for all these efforts that we've been doing together in preparation for the things that we are witnessing today. And of course, this would not have been possible without a more robust mechanism propelling it. And I am referring to the Intergovernmental Relations Board, where our dear Minister of MBHTE-BARMM, Honorable Muhager Iqbal, sits as the chair from the Bangsamoro government with his counterpart, Secretary Dominguez from the national government. This afternoon, aside from the symbolic signing of the instrument for turnover and messages of turnover and acceptance between the Department of Education and the MBHTE-BARMM. We will also be listening to messages of support from very important personalities that are joining us both physically and virtually. Before I'll end up, let me share with you a recollection from my physics class, which I suppose is appropriate for today's event. And these are the 3 laws of motion by Sir Isaac Newton. By definition, they may just describe the relationship between the motion of an object and the forces acting on it. But I leave it to you for the application that it may serve you best. The first law states that an object either remains at rest or continues to move at constant velocity unless it is acted upon by an external force. The second law of motion states that the rate of change of momentum of an object, the rate of change of momentum of an object is directly proportional to the force applied. That's the second law of motion. The second law states again that the rate of change of momentum of an object is directly proportional to the force that you apply to it. The third law states that when one object exerts a force on a second object, that second object exerts a force that is equal in magnitude and opposite in direction on the first object. In parting, let us be that external force that increases the rate of change of this momentum, and let us be that force that continues to exert that force so that our expanded territories may also exert a force equal in magnitude to serve the Bangsamoro people and most especially the Bangsamoro learners. Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, ASEC June, and thank you as well for reminding us about the law of motion. Shall we proceed with the next part in the program, Sir Moby?
Thank you, Ma'am Fides. This turnover of the schools division of Cotabato City and the schools in the 63 barangays allows us to open greater opportunities for cooperation and improvement for the education sector in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. This event is a long-awaited moment for the Bangsamoro education sector across the region. Department of Education Secretary Leonor Magtulis-Briones cannot physically make it here today. However, it is with deepest honor that we are virtually joined today by Undersecretary Revsi Escobedo and Undersecretary Jesus L.R. Mateo and Assistant Secretary Ramon Fial Abside.
May I now request everyone to please focus your attention on the screen nearest to you as we are about to watch and listen to the turnover message of the Secretary of the Department of Education. So ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Secretary Leonor Magtulis-Briones.
Good afternoon. Magandang hapon sa lahat. Maayong hapon kaninyo nga tanan. Maayo gid iyang hapon sa tanan nga aridi subong sa aton iyang turnover ceremonies. To use the language of faith, this is the day which our Lord God has made. A day when we are finally turning over the Department of Education of Cotabato City Division and the schools within the 63 barangays of North Cotabato. And this indeed is a memorable and happy day, culminating how many years of conversations, negotiations, and talks as related to the Bangsamoro Authority. The 1987 Constitution, if you start with the legal basis and framework, has provided in Article 10, Section 15, that there shall be created autonomous regions in Muslim Mindanao and the Cordilleras, consisting of provinces, cities, municipalities, and geographical areas sharing common and distinctive historical and cultural heritage, economic and social structures, and other relevant characteristics within the framework of this Constitution and the national sovereignty, as well as territorial integrity of the Republic of the Philippines. Section 16 also of the same article in our Constitution says that the President shall exercise general supervision over autonomous regions to ensure that laws are faithfully executed. At the same time, also in Section 20, Article 10 of the 1987 Constitution, there is a statement that subject to the provisions of the Constitution and national laws, the Organic Act of Autonomous Regions shall provide for legislative powers over educational policies, among others, for the Organic Act for Autonomous Regions. Now, I would like to consider a few matters about governance and administration as they relate to DEPED and BARMM. Any discussion of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, whether involving education or other matters, should begin with the acknowledgement of the distinct historical identity and aspirations of the Bangsamoro people. The birth of Islam in our land in the early 13th century, preceded by 2 centuries or over 200 years, the coming of Spain to the archipelago. They were here first. When Spain established dominion over our archipelago, the Muslim Sultanates, which had been long established in Mindanao, already had the capability to resist subjugation and kept their indigenous culture mostly intact and reinforced by universal principles of Islam. So with respect to education, Article 9 on basic rights under education states very clearly that education shall be a top priority of the Bangsamoro government to establish, maintain, and support a complete and integrated system of quality education, which shall be a subsystem of the national education. So Bangsamoro's integrated system of quality education will be and is a subsystem of national education. Thus, for this purpose, Bangsamoro government conforms to the minimum standards set by the national government and enriches it in terms of its historical and cultural identity, as well as its faith basis. There is also a provision for the rights of sectarian and educational institutions to propagate their religious beliefs, and this should not be curtailed. Thus, the thrusts and programs of vocational, technical, non-formal and special education of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, educational system for the poor, for the out of school, for youth, persons with special needs, disadvantaged, and senior citizens shall be supportive and relevant to the human resource requirements of the Bangsa Autonomous Region, which in turn will conform to the minimum standards set by the national government. Also, in line with the 1987 Constitution, the Bangsa government, Moro government, shall respect, protect, and promote the rights of children, especially orphans of tender age. They shall be protected from exploitation, from abuse, or discrimination. And their education and development, both physical and mental, shall be fully addressed. So this is the legal framework which forms the basis, the platform, the post on which we are now turning over to Bangsamoro government, DepEd of Cotabato City, and 63 barangay schools. Now, to harmonize efforts in providing access, quality, and liberating education for all Filipino children, the Department of Education shall continuously expand its enabling support through the implementation of inclusive education programs and projects to be more responsive to the needs of the community. So, what has been established is the BARMM transition team initiated by the DepEd Soxargen region in collaboration with the City Schools Division of Cotabato and Cotabato Province to rationalize processes, procedures, and documented information for its smooth transition. So now, Minister Iqbal, DepEd turns over a total of 83 schools composed of 43 public schools, 39 private schools, and 1 state university college, offering secondary schools from the City Schools Division of Cotabato, or a total of 103 schools, 85 from elementary, 18 from secondary schools within the 63 barangays of Cotabato Province. Our human resources, which we are turning over to you, have a total strength of 2,195 authorized positions for Cotabato City and 2,318 teaching staff within the 63 barangays of Cotabato Province who are already deployed in these schools. Likewise, Minister, we are also turning over our records of plant, property, and equipment as inventory of physical counts with complete information on the acquisition, the description, the custody, the estimated useful life, depreciation, impairment loss, disposal, and other relevant information regarding the assets required. We have already started the transformation, Mr. Minister. The challenge is to unceasingly nurture Cotabato City and the schools within the 63 barangays of Cotabato Province towards an inclusive vision for peace and sustainable development. It has been noted in the enabling law that the BARMM will be a subsystem. This is the educational system is going to be a subsystem of the national government education system. And the system's approach, as we all know, is in terms of organized unitary whole. We think of the whole being composed of interdependent parts, components, or subsystems, delineated by identifiable boundaries from its environmental subsystem. And it is characterized by synergy, by interconnections, and interrelatedness between the organization, the national system vis-a-vis the subsystem, and its environment. And so the key concepts include holism, as they say, the whole is always bigger than the sum of its parts, synergy, organizational consciousness, and gestalt. And so, as we proceed with our transition, as we hand over to BARMM, the DEPED Cotabato, and the schools of 63 barangays, we are guided by the provision of law in the Constitution, as well as in the enabling law, which provides that the system of education of BARMM will be a subsystem of the national system of education as well. I have no doubt that we will have a rich and fruitful partnership. We will be working together, and we will also be considering national interests as well as the historical, cultural, and distinct identity of BARMM, especially as expressed in its system of education. So, congratulations. I'm looking forward to working even more closely and harder with BARMM officials. BARMM has always been very cooperative with the Department of Education. It is represented in the management committee of the department, and we always consult each other, give each other the respect and consideration that both the national system and the subsystem hold for each other. I said at the beginning that this is a very happy day. It's a day which our Lord has made. It's a day of not only of transition, but also of integration, a day of unity, and a day of peace. Thank you. To use.
All right. So in behalf of the Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education, we truly thank the Department of Education for their unending support to the Education Ministry of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region.
And now we shall witness the formal turnover ceremony. And may we request or call on to the center stage the Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education Minister Muhagir Iqbal and Department of Education Region 12 Regional Director Dr. Alan Farnazo for the handover of documents.
These documents contain all the validated relevant information of the schools and its personnel from the Schools Division of Cotabato City and the 63 barangays. These also include legal components and documents necessary for today's turnover. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A big round of applause, please.
To be followed after the formal turnover ceremony is the signing of instrument of turnover within the MBHTE and the DEPED National. The Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education shall be represented by our respected Minister Iqbal, while in behalf of the DepEd National, Regional Director Alan Farnazo shall be representing the said party. We'd also like to request ASEC Marjuni Madi to please proceed to the center stage to witness the signing of the instrument of turnover, as well as Attorney Mujahid Guro. We'd also like to request Schools Division Superintendent Dr. Balawag and Schools Division Superintendent Dr. Isagani Cruz. We'd also like to request ASEC Alpadar Pajiji.
Ladies and gentlemen, this instrument of turnover marks the coordination and support between the Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education and the Department of Education Central Office towards the goal for a better and brighter educational system of the Bangsamoro region. The cameraman to please give way to our videographer, our official videographer at the back.
Again, we'd like to request all of our friends from the media to please give way for the official camera or the official videographer of the MBHTE. Thank you. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the instrument of turnover has been signed by Minister Mohagir Iqbal and Regional Director Dr. Alan Farnazo. A round of applause, please.
So there you have it. We shall now be proceeding to the next part of the program. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, we will be hearing and listening to the message of acceptance from the Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education. So help me welcome the untiring leader and the father of the education sector in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Minister Mohagir M. Iqbal.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. On behalf of the Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, we formally accept the crucial undertaking and responsibility of administering and supervising the school division of Cotabato City and the schools under the 63 barangays of North Cotabato. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much again, Minister Mohagir Iqbal. This turnover of the schools plays a significant and historical part of the region as we welcome other members of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao education sector, family that aims for the certain goals towards giving a balanced, inclusive, and quality education to the Bangsamoro region.
The BARMM Office of the Chief Minister has been very supportive to the Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education in all its programs and advocacies and in giving aids to the education sector in the BARMM. So at this juncture, let us welcome the Chief Minister of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao for his message. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Chief Minister Ahod Balawag Ibrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Education Secretary Briones, Finance Secretary Dominguez, OPOP Secretary Galvez, Education Minister Iqbal, Assistant Secretary Maddi, Deputy Minister Miling, Governor Katamko, Regional Director Arnazo, to our dear teachers, fellow workers in government, my fellow Bangsamoro. My warmest greetings to all of you. Today, we are gathered once again to fulfill a mandate stipulated by the Bangsamoro Organic Law and a continuation of to what has become a series of turnover ceremonies from various national government agencies based on Region 12 to the supervision of the Bangsamoro government, all of course part and parcel of our constituents from Cotabato City and the 63 barangays of North Cotabato's decision to be part of the new Bangsamoro territory. That process involves the education sector as well. I know that there are still apprehensions regarding these changes, but just like what we reiterated on our previous statements, there is nothing to be afraid of, and the strongest asset we can get from this entire process is collaboration. If done right, we can create an educational model unique to our history and reality that can show the rest of the country that this sector is the key towards development. We have always been a people that understood the vital role of education for our children's growth and success, be it secular or madaris. We have a unique opportunity, shape the minds of young Bangsamoro to embrace a new perspective on peace and development. We have a unique opportunity to raise a generation that understands what it means to be Bangsamoro and Filipino at the same time. We have a unique opportunity to introduce a new generation that can take this region towards unprecedented heights. But we cannot do that if we do not work together. with MBHTA and DEPED standing side by side, we are assured that this transition will not be difficult. And I promise you that there will be no discrepancy on the part of our teachers, inshallah. There is no better time to reshape education than now. And there's no one that can do such but all of us. Thank you so much, and wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Indeed, through moral governance in BARMM, change has really come, especially for educators and learners.
We would like to also inform everyone that the Bangsamoro government has created a special geographic area development coordinating office to administer the 63 barangays. And joining us today to give his message is the administrator of the newly created Special Geographic Area Development Coordinating Office. Please help me welcome the Honorable Muhammad Kelly Antao.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi wa bihi nasta'in wa ba'd. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My courtesy to our beloved Chief Minister, Honorable Ahod Al-Haj Murad Ibrahim, to our DepEd Secretary, Madam Briones, to our MBHTE Minister, Sir Muhagir Iqbal, to our Regional Director of the DepEd, Sir Alan, to our Deputy Minister, Attorney Harun Miling, and to Ma'am Lydia Mastura from the MBHTE, the members of the Parliament who are in attendance, and of course the Honorable Dato Tukaw Mastura, Sir, the Honorable Susana Anayatin, Madam, the Honorable Narciso Eke Umping, Sir, the Honorable Milanio Ulama, and the rest of the BARMM officials who are in attendance, educators, and of course, ang mga kasamahan ko pong sumama para po sa turnover na ito, ang aking mga kasamahan sa Area Coordinating Office from Pigkawayan, Honorable Ibrahim Rahman, Honorable Mike Alamada of Carmen, Honorable Habib Jabar of Kabakan, Honorable Arnal Timan of Pikituan, Honorable Abdul Latif Tiago of from Pikit 2, Honorable Duma Maskud, and Honorable Jimmy Adil from Pikit 3. So, again, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Last February 6, the people of the 63 barangay had spoken, including the parents and teachers of the 63 barangay, the 40,000 learners of the province of Cotabato have already manifested their support and inclusion in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region and Muslim Mindanao. Ang pakikibaka na ito ay na-confirm at declared by the COMELEC on February 14 sa Araw ng Mga Puso na ang 63 barangay ay bahagi na at part na ng Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Nagpapasalamat po kami dahil po sa pakikibaka mula noon na ang gusto natin ay makasama po sa Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, ay hindi po tayo nabigo at kasama po natin ang mga tao na tumutulong sa atin upang tayo ay mapabilang sa isang malaking okasyon tulad nito, ang turnover ng Cotabato Division, kasama na po ang mga eskwelahan from 63 barangay of North Cotabato. Kaya po, kami po'y nagpapasalamat na kami ay napabilang sa parte ng mga taong nagsusulong ng moral governance. Dahil po, kami ay naniniwala that the struggle of the Bangsamoro for right to self-determination ay hindi pa tapos. Bagamat tapos na ang gera, subalit ang pagkilaban po na may sulong ang tunay na kagustuhan ng ating Panginoon, ang gobyerno na inasahan ng Bangsamoro ay makamit natin through the moral governance advocated by our beloved Chief Minister Al-Haj Murad Ibrahim. So napapanahon na ito that our DEPED from North Cotabato ay official na part na ng Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao na alam natin na dito mag-umpisa ang pinaka-iniminimithin natin moral governance na kung saan ang ating mga kabataan ay matuto at malaman nila kung ano ang tinatawag na moral governance. Kaya po napakalaki ang role ng ating mga teachers, lalong-lalo na po from the 63 barangay na napaloob po sa Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Inshallah, tayo po ay makipagtulungan dahil po as far as the Development Coordinating Office is concerned, nandito kami lahat in full force upang sa ganun ay ipakita na welcome at minamahal namin ang mga kasamahan natin mula sa DepEd. Kaya po, tayong lahat ay makaasa po na dahil po sa pamagitan ng ating MBHTE, sa ating mahal na Minister, Muhagir Iqbal, ay sigurado po na ang ating educational system, lalo na po, binabalangkas na po ngayon ang education code natin, sigurado po na sa pagdating ng mga panahon, ito na po ang mga kabataan na masabi natin na sila na ang magtaguyod ng moral governance because they will be produced by the moral government and they will become morally, spiritually uplift, inshallah, by the next generation to come. Kagina kami ito, mga pagari ko, mga Bangsamoro, Zukutan sa Allah, sa kapadanuran kanubang sa Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much to our administrator of the geographical area of the North Cotabato. The Regional Director of Region 12 that has been supportive and hands-on during the turnover process of the ministry and the divisions. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause to Regional Director Dr. Alan Farnazo for his message.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mayong hapon sa inyong tanan. In the name of our Secretary of Education, Leonor Magtulis Briones. I'd like also to acknowledge our undersecretaries, Yusek Rebsi Escobedo, Yusek Jesus Lorenzo R. Mateo, and Asek Ramon Fiel Absedi, who are watching us live today. I'd like to pay my respect to the Minister of MBHTE. Tama ba ako? Muhakir M. Iqbal, MBHTE. Yep. And the Deputy Minister, Attorney Harun Miling, Ma'am Lydia, who I think have been the ones in charge of the hard work in doing the preparations as early as February tayo, Ma'am Lids, no? Una nag-virtual. At ang katabi ko rito, na siya ng administrator, sabi ko sa kanya, blew out ha. Of course, gusto ko rin pasalamatan ang mga kasama natin. Ang nangyari nito, this is really a team effort of BARMM Region and Region 12. As soon as si Minister Iqbal, when we had our national MANCOM in February in Manila, immediately on the side of the national MANCOM, we conducted our meeting, and there created a technical working group from Region 12 and BARMM, specifically to do the operational requirements of what we are doing this afternoon, particularly in tagging the items, that will be transferred, property and everything. And we would like to acknowledge all these people who work in the background, but whose names are not mentioned this afternoon. Pinasasalamatan ko kayong lahat sa inyo. Kami lang po dito ang nakatayo na nagsasalita, subalit yung mga pinagsasabi namin dito na mga datos ay mula sa inyong hard work. I'd like also to acknowledge the members of the Legislative Assembly of BARMM na nandito ngayon. Director Boy Gonzales of the Civil Service Commission, at ang dalawa nating superintendent who are also very much involved, Superintendent Concepcion Balawag of Cotabato City and Superintendent Isagani Is de la Cruz of Cotabato Province. By the way, Sir Iqbal, gusto ko ring pasalamatan ang lahat ng mga superintendents and assistant superintendents of Region 12 are here this afternoon to provide support. Can I request them to please rise? Thank you very much. So much has been said regarding the difficulties and challenges everyone has been facing due to COVID-19 pandemic. Nowadays, our worry is doubled because of a news that a new stronger strain of coronavirus is about to spread all over the world and again will attack education sector. Back then, everyone was caught unprepared. Critical decisions has to be made. Resources were tapped and utilized to a maximum. In short, the pandemic brought panic in every nook and corner of the world. The education sector in our country, of course, was not spared. Especially so when first, the opening of classes for this school year was moved to a later date. Second, when it was declared that no face-to-face interaction between the teacher and the learner has to happen. Likewise, critical steps in actions were taken by the department, one after the other. Actions that met different reactions. Some were accepted, others were criticized, but resilient as we are in the Department of Education, we kept going and going. For we believe, even amidst attack and critiques, the children's hope rests on our shoulders and no one else. I too have my own share of doubts as to whether we can make it. But looking at the children whose hope was only on us, that gives us enough courage to proceed. And this one hope came from the memorandum of the Department of Education also, advising Soc-Sargent Region to prepare for the co-optation of the schools division of Cotabato City and the 103 schools within 63 barangays of Cotabato Province to the BARMM by virtue of the Bangsamoro Organic Law or Republic Act number 11054, signed last July 26, 2018. This is an act providing for the organic law of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, repealing for the purpose Republic Act number 6734 entitled An Act Providing an Organic Act for the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, amended by Republic Act number 9054 entitled An Act to Strengthen and Expand the Organic Act for the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, and eventually the creation of the Bangsamoro Transition Authority in 2019. My take on the matter when I received the memorandum from the Secretary is this. The reconfiguration can be another opportunity to prove to our critics that continuity of education will never be compromised. that even if a number of schools, as well as teachers and learners, will be relocated and reconfigured to a new region, it will never hamper the educational preparedness of everyone concerned. So here we are now in this event. And I'm sure at this very moment, the Filipino nation has their eyes on us. Today is both a celebration of the long and arduous journey of these regions who I am a part of, and the unity that has been sought for by our Bangsamoro people, and a celebration of gratitude to the people and colleagues in SDO Cotabato City and the 103 schools in 63 barangays of Cotabato Province, whose enormous contribution to the DepEd really matter to us. I mentioned earlier the difficulties and challenges everyone faced and are still facing at this time of pandemic. But I also understand that to be able to successfully transcend from challenges to success, we have to start from being mindful of the tasks we are supposed to contribute and do our responsibilities ahead. And to have an enormous grasp of this, we have to recollect our strength and the successes that brought us here today should inspire us to do more. In adherence to law and in harmonizing its efforts in providing access, quality, and liberating basic education for all the diverse Filipino learners, the Department of Education continuously expand its enabling support through the implementation of inclusive education. And related to this are the appropriate programs and projects to be more responsive to the need of the community, particularly the use of alternative learning modalities to provide learning opportunities for the continuity of basic education amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Complementary to this effort is the establishment of the BARMM transition team initiated by and the DepEd Soc-Sargent region in collaborating with them, together with the City Schools Division of Cotabato City and Cotabato Province to rationalize the processes, procedures, and documented information requirements for its smooth transition. The transition team had a series of worthwhile interface meetings that started with exploratory talks on the regional level, and I am very happy to tell you that right after BARMM election plebiscite was ratified, Region 12 was the first to invite Minister Muhaker Iqbal as our keynote speaker in our Regional Research Congress. And I think the good minister still remember that because we would like to listen to his directions as to where BARMM should be and is going. And in the presence of DepEd Soc-Sargent's officials, teachers, and stakeholders, the Honorable Minister gave credence to the plans and strategic directions of the new region, helping us understand the context and the affected resources of DepEd Soc-Sargent. Hence, due to the reconfiguration of this region, the Department of Education respectfully draws strength and learning experiences as we create knowledge and cooperation with a total of 83 schools composed of 43 public, 39 private, and 1 SUC offering secondary schools from the City Schools Division of Cotabato, and a total of 103 schools, 85 from the elementary and 18 schools, secondary schools within the 63 barangays of Cotabato Province. We also increase its human resource, having a total strength of 2,195 authorized positions for Cotabato City and 2,316 teaching staff within the 63 barangays of Cotabato Province were already deployed to schools. 43 schools in Cotabato City have already been assessed in terms of their level of practice on school-based management. And of this, I'm happy to report to everyone, 20 out of these 30 schools have already been recommended by the division for level 3, were already validated by the regional office. And therefore, I can tell everyone, especially our good friend, Minister Iqbal, we are giving you the best of what has come from Region 12. The rest are working their level best to improve and be recognized, such as the 13 schools from level 2 to level 3. One school to rise up to level 2 and 10 remaining schools to be validated to level 3. What more? Recently, our nominee for the Outstanding Global Teacher Award is coming from Cotabato City. I would like to share the honor, perhaps, Minister, of clapping my hands at the lists whenever she will be declared the winner for having been given the privilege of at least nominating her. But we're giving the best, and the best is here. School heads and teachers of Cotabato City and Cotabato divisions have undergone not just one, but a number of capability building programs for their professional development. In response to the challenges brought about by the pandemic, they were already trained as learning resource quality assurance teams for self-learning module writers, video lesson developers, presenters, radio-based instruction script writers, and are actually into developing a new set of all of these materials, not only for elementary and junior high school, but also for the senior high school and special education. Cotabato City has also been actively engaged in the implementation of the 6th research agenda of the regional office to address the health crisis, such as the 21st century classroom teachers and DEPED Cotabato, meeting the global challenge of digital era with innovation and creativity, the 21st century literacies of school heads towards developing integrative mechanisms in managing multimodal learning delivery platforms and the like. In terms of organizational structure, the division of Cotabato City already implemented the institutionalized rationalization program of the department in compliance to DepEd Order 52, series of 2015, entitled The New Organizational Structure of the Central, Regional, and Schools Division Offices of the Department of Education. To support this, record of plant, property, and equipment are already provided as inventory of physical counts with complete information on the acquisition, description, custody, estimated useful life, depreciation, impairment loss, disposal, and other relevant information regarding the assets acquired. Furthermore, to sustain its gains and continuously improve its operations, to be more efficient and effective in delivering basic education to the learners, Cotabato City Division has embarked on the implementation of quality management system in preparation for ISO 9001-2015 certification. As we renew our transformation commitment, DepEd Sergeant shall maintain with pride and truthfulness our partnership and connections with prayer that Cotabato City Schools Division and a number of schools within 63 barangays of Cotabato Province shall continue to nurture that quest for responsive innovation and improvement to help propel BARMM towards an inclusive vision of peace and sustainable development. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Thank you so much, the Regional Director of DepEd Region 12, Dr. Alan Farnazo. Thank you as well to his team joining us in full force this afternoon. And now, last but definitely not the least, and without whose message this event wouldn't be complete. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome the good Minister of Basic, Higher and Technical Education, the Honorable Mohagar M. Iqbal.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And a pleasant good afternoon. Before I read ASEC Escobarte G of DEPED National. Then finally, I pay tribute to the ladies and gentlemen who are with us this afternoon. Again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In behalf of the Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education, I want to thank you for participating in another meaningful and significant event following the historical turnover of Cotabato City to the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or BARMM, last December 15, 2020. If that turnover is historical, the event today is defining in many ways. For the reasons above cited, let these few lines be said. This is for the information of everybody. Without Cotabato City, Maguindanao, or the ethnic tribe which it connotes, is meaningless. The royal houses and the once empire province of Cotabato had its root here. More than the symbolism and its historicity, this city is geographically located and almost at the center of the province of Maguindanao. And defying all other reasons, the people voted yes overwhelmingly during the plebiscite, and therefore this must be upheld. It is the law. Just moments ago, we witnessed the official turnover of DEPED Cotabato City Division and the schools within the 63 barangays of North Cotabato to the BARMM. This simple ceremony is linked, as mentioned above, to the plebiscite's results that ratify the Bangsamoro Organic Law, or BOL, or Republic Act number 11054 on January 21, 2019. The people have spoken in this plebiscite, and therefore, the turnover of the national agencies, including the sectors of education in Cotabato City and those in the 63 barangays in Cotabato, in North Cotabato, should have taken place within 6 months from the ratification of the law, or to be precise, July 21, 2019. Be this as it may, the show must go on, as the saying goes. To us, the future is more important than the past. The lessons of the past, hard and good, can serve as our beacon light in guiding us in our journey onward. In the last almost 2 years, the BARMM government strived to lay the groundwork for an effective, transparent, accountable, and inclusive autonomous government. From decades of negligence and questionable practices in the arm to the COVID-19 pandemic, the challenges we faced were severe. But as I often say, our resolve to pursue balanced BARMM education programs and institute decisive reforms that adhere to the Bangsamoro people's needs, ideals, and aspirations is far more robust. I do not doubt that the Cotabato City School Division and all academic and learning institutions in the 63 barangays will support us in our endeavors for the Bangsamoro education community's well-being, especially our learners. However, I also understand that the transition to the BARMM would be challenging. Hence, I organized a technical working group and task force to facilitate this process. It is timely that this turnover is occurring while we are finalizing the Bangsamoro Education Code. Just for the information, it's not part of my speech, but there is a big difference on the manner of education in the BARMM than that of the national government. In the national government, basic education is separate from technical education, and technical education is separate from higher education. But here in the BARMM, all these components are under the Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education. That's why it's called MBHTE, or Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education. And basic education includes the Madari system. The Education Code is one of the priority legislations that the Bangsamoro Transition Authority must approve per the Bangsamoro Organic Law. Once Parliament approves the Bangsamoro Education Code, it will allow the Education Ministry to govern the educational system in the region and set the strategic direction for realizing a balanced, accessible, and inclusive education structure rooted in the BARMM's prevailing context. Furthermore, the Bangsamoro Education Code shall ascertain the rights, authority, and responsibilities of the BARMM government, the Bangsamoro education community, and ensure effective collaboration among all stakeholders towards quality education in the BARMM. Again, this is not part of my speech, but I just want to say this one. You know, there is a lot of catching up in the BARMM. The education, the level of education in the BARMM is equal to grade 6 in Manila. Grade 6 in Manila. So there is a lot of catching up. We have to double our time. Otherwise, we will remain a tail ender in terms of educating our people. After today, Cotabato City School Division and all the academic and learning institutions in the 63 barangays are officially part of the Bangsamoro education community. Hence, you will be our partners in ensuring that we observe moral governance. What does moral governance mean? Again, it's not part of my speech, but I just want to discuss this briefly, just to give a simple understanding of what is moral governance. I just want to focus on accountability. Accountability, especially in the Philippines, all the education system in the Philippines is also makajos. But in the BARMM, accountability is not only an accountability that you complete all the documentations or your boss has signed the vouchers. Accountability here is more on the great unseen watching you. Whatever you do, whatever you think, the great unseen sees you. By working together, we hope to translate good governance principles into laudable action, leading to the following results. Number one, students or learners are enrolled and performing well in academic institutions, skills development centers, and alternative learning system. Public funds are budgeted and allocated transparently. Number three, teaching and non-teaching personnel are hired on merit system. Number four, teachers are using a relevant and adaptive curriculum, whether in basic, higher, and technical education, including the Madari system. Number five, school officials and administrators are competent and accountable in carrying out their functions. And number six, the schools have adequate facilities and become safe spaces for learning for all students. As mentioned earlier, we share the vision of a peaceful, just, and prosperous Bangsamoro. While we may disagree on specific issues, we must reach a common ground to benefit the Bangsamoro people. Finding sustainable solutions to our current problems and safeguarding the future of the Bangsamoro generations to come are goals that transcend religious beliefs and political affiliations. As long as we set aside our narrow interest and prioritize the welfare of the Bangsamoro education community and the general public, I am confident we will make significant and positive changes to the BARMM educational system. Before I end my message, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the Department of Education led by Secretary Briones for her continued support. I also want to mention the unfailing support of the members of the National Government Intergovernmental Relations Body, or IGR body, led by Honorable Secretary Carlos B. Dominguez Jr., as well as my colleagues in the BARMM IGRB for making this turnover happen today. Let us continue working together towards providing quality, inclusive, and relevant education to our learners so that no Bangsamoro child will be left behind. Always remember that the monies we spend for education of our children are not expenses. They are investments. Shukran, mabuhay po tayong lahat. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Minister Iqbal. I think I got the last message quite clearly. So the money that we spend on the education of our children are not expenses, but they are investments. So I'd like to thank once again the good minister for, on a personal note, for heading and leading the Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education. It is such an honor to be working under his leadership. Now allow me to quote a Chinese proverb. If you are planning for a year, sow rice. If you are planning for a decade, plant trees. If you are planning for a lifetime, educate people. Truly, this quote only emphasizes that there are many ways we can make an impact in the world, but there is no greater impact than what you can do by educating people. Empowering people will empower and teach other people, who in turn will empower and teach more.
And the role and objectives of the Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education is to help and support our educators in the schools to teach quality of education, the ground of the Bangsamoro region. We would also like to acknowledge the Assistant Schools Division Superintendent of Marawi City in attendance this afternoon, Dr. Subaida Diron Ampuan. At this time, we will be witnessing the ceremonial distribution of teachers' kits from the Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education to the Schools Division of Cotabato City and the 63 barangays of North Cotabato. We would like to request Honorable Minister Mohagir Iqbal and would like to call the teachers from Cotabato City Division. We have Ma'am Asma Abdullah, Ma'am Princess Mantige, Ma'am Tarhata S. Lauban, and Ma'am Alhamde Balawag, and Ma'am Rajan Mamadra. We'd also like to request our teachers from the 63 barangays of North Cotabato. We have Ma'am Noria Mandigan, we have Ibrahim S. Magano, we have Roger S. Balimbingan, Celia P. Eliana, and Ibrahim S. Nandang.
Again, may we request our friends from the media to please not block the center view because we have our official photographer also taking coverage at the back. We assure all of you that the Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education will truly strive to give more to all the schools divisions in BARMM and provide better services to the workforce of the divisions and the region. Indeed, the Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education is pleased and encouraged with this momentum and is committed to taking this forward.
Three, two, one.
Again, as mentioned earlier, this is just a ceremonial distribution of our teachers' kit to the teachers of the school, the city division of Cotabato and the 63 barangays of North Cotabato.
Three, two, one.
Alhamdulillah. So we'll now proceed to the photo opportunity. May I ask our distinguished guests to be here on stage together with our minister. We'd like to request first our schools division superintendent of Cotabato City Division, Dr. Concepcion Balawag, and Dr. Isagani Cruz. We'd also like to request ASEC Marjuni Madi and ASEC Alfadar Pajiji. And later, a press conference will follow shortly after the program. We'd also like to request Attorney Mujahid Guru to please join the first batch of the photo opportunity. We would also like to request
May we also request the members of the parliament who are present today to please join our guests on stage for another photo opportunity. Gracing our event today is the honorable members of the parliament, Susana Ayanatin, Honorable Melanio Ulama,
Honorable Narciso Yueki, and Honorable Tukaw Mastura. After this, we'd like to request Director Boy Gonzalez of the Civil Service Commission, Director Boy Gonzalez is requested to join on stage. And after this, all the schools division superintendents from the North Cotabato will be the next. Next will be all the schools division superintendents and assistant schools division superintendents of Region 12.
Up next, we will request the officials of the 63 barangays to join our guest on stage for the photo opportunity, please.
Next will be the Regional Office of Region 12 officials and staff. To follow will be the Schools Division of Cotabato City officials and staff in attendance this afternoon.
Thank you so much. May we now request everyone to please settle back on your seats as we still have
one part of the program. Again, we'd like to request everyone to please settle back to your seats so that we can proceed to the next part of our program. Thank you.
All right, once again, requesting everyone to please settle back on your seats as we still have parts of the program that is about to unfold. All right, the success of the turnover this afternoon is attributed to the task force that the Ministry of Basic, Higher, and Technical Education has formed. The MBHTE, specifically the task force, conducted various validation and verification of documents and data of the said schools to ensure its alignment and effectivity of the programs and services. This task force is led by its chairperson, who is now going to give us her closing remarks. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Hadja Lydia Udaundo Mastura.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My courtesies to the Honorable Secretary of the Department